Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Inside Sports Podcast. That is, of course, with the DE capitalized, as we all know. Guys, let's go ahead and jump right into it. We got the women's basketball team coming off of 2 road losses to finish off the year at UNI and Drake. 2 of some of the better teams in the Valley, so we can't exactly feel terrible about it. Mm-hmm. But, Joey, tell me a little bit of what you saw.
Yeah, I mean, these were just 2 really good teams that they're facing off against, so there's nothing to be too hugely annoyed about. I mean, I don't know if we necessarily expected a loss, but, I mean, 2 really good teams, like I was saying. They're 11-18, 8-12 in the MVC. They're finished the year. They're locked in at the number 7 seed in this tournament. They're going to play Indiana State on Thursday. We were 2-0 against them this year, so, I mean, I'm just hoping that third time isn't the charm for Indiana State. But
it always makes you nervous heading into the tournament.
Right. Playing a team 3 times in a year and trying to beat them the third time. Obviously, we discussed with UIC last week. It's always tough, but if we did beat them, we would play Belmont on Friday, and Belmont is also the team that handed us that 50-plus point loss earlier.
Didn't they score 100 points on us both times?
Yeah, I think
it was at least close.
Yeah, I think it was
like
like
80 or 90 the second time.
Yeah, the first time, though, was like a 101.
Yeah,
I actually do think it was over 100. It was 101?
Let's double check here.
I think it is.
Because they did get 101.
The first one was definitely 101, yeah.
Yeah.
But
Jordan, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, we're kind of at the point in the season where we know what this team is, and they continue to play better in these last couple of games, and I'm excited for the tournament. I really am. Having Indiana State first, a game that they should win. Now they haven't had a lot of games this year where they had the expectation to win. That's going to be what it is for Indiana State. And for the rest of the tournament, again, it's all about just playing hard and getting some momentum heading into next year because. We do have a couple seniors. There are going to be a lot of players coming back, hopefully. And, it's all about building momentum.
That's right.
I do just want to bring up that Promise Taylor did officially break the block record for this team in one of those games. I think it was the Drake game. It might have been because I think she had 5 blocks in that one. I don't think she had a block against UNI, but she officially broke, and I know she matched Jordan mentioned that last week. The Saluki record for blocks in a season. What an accomplishment. Just have to shout her out. I'm hoping for a win. I think we'll win. I don't know if they'll go much farther than that, to be quite honest with you. But, just excited for this team.
I do just want to clarify. We only lost to Belmont by 10 at home. So we kept it a little closer the second time. However...
Yeah. And who did we lose? We gave up 100 points.
Yes, it was to Belmont. It was to Belmont.
On the road.
Earlier, yes,
on
the road. It was 101 to 45. But once again, that was before we kind of figured out what this team was. Sure, some double-digit losses to end the year isn't great. Well, I guess this one wasn't double-digit. It was 9 points. But nevertheless, I think they somewhat have a chance. I wanted to ask you guys, where do you think, because SIU, obviously, we got the 7th seed. It's not really one of the higher ones, obviously. But where do you think Ashley Jones, and especially someone like Promise Taylor, who's been going off, where should we expect them? First team? Second team? I think Promise Taylor might end up being a first-team bid because of her absolute dominance on defense. The only thing is that she can be on and off.
Yeah, that's what I think second team is more likely
than
first team. But, again, her best performances of the year, she's definitely a first-team player.
That's
for
right.
Sure. Especially against Evansville and against Drake. Yeah, she at times plays like a first-teamer. But, the highs and lows combined probably make her a solid second temer. So
she has a size advantage over a lot of girls.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
She does.
A lot of girls just don't have in this league right now. Her wingspan has got to be one of the longer ones.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
So
ridiculous. That's what helps with all those blocks.
Yeah.
Now on to the really disappointing one. This will be our final episode talking about basketball. We're going to say goodbye to the SIU men's basketball team. They lost this weekend. I was fortunate enough to cover that event for the Daily Egyptian. Joey was there with, of course, Channel 3, like we mentioned last week. What did you guys see? We obviously beat Missouri State in the first game. That one wasn't even pretty. And then the Drake game was an odd one, but I want to hear your guys' thoughts first before I give my take on this season.
I feel like it's almost stereotypical to say, but I liked the fight in this team. They were down, I think it was Drake was up by 20 at one point.
Yes.
I could be wrong, but we got it within 5 at one point, and it's like, okay, there's somewhat of a chance here, but against a really high-powered offensive team like Drake, that's not bad. But Drake's game plan, obviously, was to just limit Marcus Damascus' chances from the last time that they played. he only had a couple shots here and there. So they obviously watched that game plan, saw it worked, did it again. Why not?
Yeah,
So-
that's right. I think that, and what possibly could have been happening is I remember Marcus got an injury right below his eye that he kept on touching in the Drake game. He got that late in the game against Missouri State. That could have been the reason for him to have an off night. Nevertheless, it wasn't super huge. Obviously, it was more just Drake's defense and facing huge players like Darnell Brody,
I
Tucker
think
DeVries.
he even had like an ankle injury late in that game.
Yeah,
against
somebody
Drake, too.
somebody got him on the
He was-
leg. I'm not
he
sure.
was
It might have
very
been his
late.
ankle, but yeah, that started happening towards the end of the game a lot. I think it was either Newton or Johnson too. They dove for a ball and like landed awkwardly. He was holding his elbow, holding his hip, but stuff like that happens in basketball. But it was definitely a dogfight for most of the game. Jordan, what was your take?
Yeah, I think one thing that you definitely can't accuse this team of is not having a fight. I mean, they went up 9-0 early, and then Drake just went on a huge run to end the half and to start the second half as well. But then they came back, cut it to, what did they get back down to, like 3 or 4?
I believe it
So-
was 3.
3, yeah, and so, and then the wheels kind of fell off after that. You mentioned Darnell Brody. I mean, in the games that he's played against,
For those who don't know, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but Darnell Brody is 6'10", 275. I mean, he's a mammoth
He's
out
a
there.
beast.
He's got a giant like gorilla tattooed on his arm. Like that's very descriptive of like Darnell Brody's game. Like he will kick your butt.
Yeah.
Like he's ridiculously huge.
yeah, he's a Seton Hall transfer, so he's a big time player. In the games that he'd played against us in the regular season, he hadn't really dominated like he did on Saturday.
That's right.
I think he went for 13 and 17 or something, which
Yeah.
is just
It was
ridiculous.
17 boards.
But if he's been waiting to turn it on, he did it at the right time. In the semifinals in the MVC tournament, and obviously with them going on to demolish Bradley the way they did, we don't feel too bad. I mean, and the other thing you have to consider too, like I'm pretty sure Roman Penn and Wilkins in their lineup, they're both 25 years old.
Yeah.
And
You
obviously-
saw that graphic too. That
yes,
was like
I saw that graphic.
that
23.
Drake is older than 5, or I guess it has an older starting lineup age
Yes,
than
yes.
5 NBA teams.
Yeah,
which is ridiculous.
They've got guys who have been in the tournament multiple times now at this point. Their experience, and ultimately that's what led them to the win. And the sad thing for us, I think, is that now we enter next year. Well, we were already going to enter next year with a question mark anyway, but ending it the way we did, now we have to start and think, when's the next year that we're going to be able to get like a double bye in the tournament? When's the next year that we're going to be able to try and make another run? We don't know. The futures of a lot of our top players are in question right now. Hopefully, when we get those answered, we'll have a better expectation for what next year's going to be. But until then, we just have to cherish the season for what it was. 23-10. I mean, if I asked you guys before the season what you thought, I don't think we probably would have said that. Not that we thought we were going to be a bad team or anything or hate our school, but
Yeah.
the expectations have definitely risen now, and it was a great year.
It was. It certainly was a great year. It's tough. I mean, when we talked about it on our tournament bracket, and honestly, when we filled it out, I didn't fill it into my correct picks on college basketball, but I mean, we did a pretty solid job with what we got.
Yeah.
But aside from that, we just didn't. Drake was a real legit team. They were picked to win the conference for a reason.
Yeah.
It's honestly a miracle that Bradley beat them, but it was at their home court on Sunday,
Yeah.
and we were really hoping for Drake to pull out in that game so we wouldn't have to
Yeah.
face them on our side of the bracket.
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to think that we had a much better shot against Bradley. Nevertheless, for those out there, and I don't want to sound too much like a Drake fan, obviously, that loss hits hard, but I mean, I'm just putting it out there. You see Drake in a 12 spot facing like a 5th-seeded Xavier or whatever in your March Madness.
Goodness.
I mean, pick Drake. Drake's got
Yeah.
all of the recipes. Veteran point guard in Roman Penn, great shooter in DJ Wilkins. Tucker DeVries is a bucket and a half.
Absolutely.
I mean, it reminds me a lot of certain Cinderella teams that we can see making it a distance. I don't know about Elite Eight. I don't know about Sweet 16. I feel fairly comfortable with, but they'll lose some weird games. But they've got a heck of a team, and that coach has done a great job.
So I just got a question. What was kind of going through your mind when we went on that 9-0 run to start the game, and Lance made like 2 threes right in a row?
Mhm.
Like, I was just shocked at just that huge start.
Yeah.
Were you thinking we really had a chance there at that point, or were you just kind of thinking we were going to fizzle out right away?
Obviously seeing those shots go down and the energy in the place was absolutely electric. You kind of I knew it would get worse because it always does, and that's not just for SIU, but for all teams in the country. The only problem is for SIU, it always is a little worse.
Right.
And with Lance seeing 2 shots go in, we know what that means from Lance the rest of the night, and he, in all likelihood, probably shot it a little bit more than they needed to. So, I just think that really, really tough. And I kind of got the same feeling in the second half when we went on that run. I felt more comfortable after that because we were facing our fan section, which me and a fellow writer next to me, shout out Brandon Wilcoxon, we pointed out in the Missouri State game when we started facing our fans, our shots tended to go in more. We tended to have more energy. Like, we felt like we were performing, or at least they felt like they were performing for them. And so I was like, okay, well, maybe this helps us out. The only problem was that also meant that Drake was facing their fans.
Right.
I think Drake, if you're grading the fans, Drake probably did a better job. That also being said, they were up by 10 for most of the game and had real expectations. So it'll be interesting to see what happens next year. We don't know whether Marcus Damask and Lance Jones will be back for a fifth year.
It seemed very final, though.
It did. It really. It had kind of this. These are the last time we're going to see these guys element to it. But you never know. They might end up changing their minds. I get a little nervous when both of them leave, especially Damask, because he's been our go-to guy for how many years. He's really developed into quite an excellent player. And now we're going to have to rely on what?
Well,
Xavier Johnson?
That's what we were
Troy
just talking
D'Amico?
about.
Yeah.
I like Foster Wonder's game, but I don't know if he's like, what, are we going to make him like our second leading scorer?
I believe
know.
Clarence will be back.
Clarence will be back, but he's not much of a scorer guy. Like, I just worry where points will come from next year.
Right, of course.
I always like Mullins' defensive approach. I think that's always been one of his strengths. Offense hasn't particularly been.
Right. I mean,
So we're going to have to figure that out.
for offense, I'd probably give a C every time I go out there.
C's pretty nice,
So,
yeah. I think
It's
that's,
a little generous.
yeah.
A guy that I think we're waiting for him to sort of take the reins and really expand his game is Dalton Banks. I think you see the physical talent there. He's an incredible on-ball defender. Sometimes he gets into foul trouble, but I think that's just his aggressive nature. He did a lot in that win against Drake, against Roman Penn, really making his life miserable. He's a guy that you can see the offensive potential. You know he has that in him to maybe become that guy that becomes the leading scorer next year. Obviously we'll see if we get any transfers, how the freshmen do. I don't know. You guys said we do have some good players coming back. It's just not the 2 guys who have been carrying us for a while. If Marcus or Lance decide to maybe transfer somewhere else, maybe to a bigger school, they've definitely earned that.
Yeah.
They've carried us for a while. Been here for 4 years. Both of them have been starters pretty much all 4 years. I'm pretty sure. So hats off to them. Obviously they frustrated us a couple times, but that's just what being a fan is about.
That's right. And so, shout out to the SIU men's basketball team once again. Obviously, if any of them are watching, great job, guys. Great season. Let's move on to the future now. Softball, still kicking butt. 3-0 at the Saluki Invitational. They have one game. They're playing right now. Is this still accurate?
They're up 7-0 now.
They're up 7-0 now. We keep on racking it up. We currently sit at 13-2, guys. It's been a pretty interesting year for SIU sports, especially the SIU men's team. Now, we don't want to get our hopes too high because we obviously saw how the men's team ended up kind of working out. But softball might be our golden sport right here. I mean, I think that 13-2 is looking pretty nice. Joey, give me your thoughts.
And I wrote on here, they showed their clutch gene with these past couple of games, 2 walk-off wins in a row in extra innings. I mean, that's something that we love to see when we need it out of our teams. They'll come through late in games when it's close like that. So the one was by Jackie Liz. She's on a huge tear to start the season. Like we've mentioned, she was on that long hit streak.
Yes.
It ended recently, but I mean, I think she started a new one here. It's already like 4 games in a row hitting. And pitching is still terrific. I don't really know what else more to say other than this team doesn't really have a lot of holes in the lineup. And
love to hear that.
Pitching-wise, I mean, we probably could see some more improvement from Hannah Ackerman and Elliot Stinson, but I mean, they did their jobs this weekend. That's what we need to see. So,
yeah, Jordan.
Yeah, I mean, they've been performing fantastic. I mean, this is what you expect for a team that has high expectations, comes home for 2 straight weekend tournaments, and they dominate. They're about to go undefeated in these, assuming they hold on to 7-0 lead, and if they don't, that's completely on me for saying that.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Jordan.
But man, I mean, like Joey said, I mean, what else can you say at this point? They've been dominant so far. As we get into conference play, I'm sure we're going to see some struggles that come up. This podcast is struggling with the phones going off. But,
is there any way to mute that? Does that work?
Just
you can feel free to leave this in, Jordan. You keep it going. We'll leave it in. Obviously, there's a lot of good stuff. So
it is.
Gotcha.
There's not too much left to say. I mean, like I said, they've been dominant. I'm sure at some point as we get closer to conference play, there will be some weaknesses that show themselves. But overall, this team has it, and they've got a lot of freshmen. I guess if I were to point out one thing for down the line, there are a lot of freshmen that haven't played in a ton of high leverage situations. Although 2 straight walk-off wins, but they're both at home. Let's see how this team plays on the road, neutral site for the conference championship. But yeah, overall they've been dominant.
Yeah. I think that the number one thing that you can say about these girls is, they score a lot of points, which means
runs.
In the famous words,
runs. Leave it in.
Guys, I'm sorry. Guys, baseball fans out there, I'm sorry. It's runs. I knew that. It's fine. Nevertheless, I just wanted to test you guys, basically.
Mm-hmm.
The point is, in the famous words of Jonah Hill, they get on base. In the movie Moneyball, we all know movie Moneyball.
She gets on base.
Great movie. The point is, these girls score a lot of runs. It's what softball and baseball is all about right now. They've been really efficient in doing that. Obviously, you talked about Jackie. How do you pronounce her last name?
Jackie Liz.
Liz. Okay, I just want to be sure that I'm pretty bad at pronouncing names, so I just wanted to be sure. Nevertheless, let's move on to baseball, where things still haven't been great. We came back, so we should be happy about this weekend. They swept Ohio. They're gonna have a big weekend where Kentucky's gonna come to town. Correct?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
And so they're standing at 6-6. They've got SIUE tomorrow. I figured I should also mention that. Joey, tell me what you've seen from the team.
Yeah, specifically from the starting pitching, we saw much longer and better performance from them. Their command was a lot better, and we got 5+ innings from Ben Chapman, Easton Dermody, and Paul. I hope it's Banzani.
Banzani.
Banzani? You don't say the G?
It's like lasagna.
Okay. Banzani.
Real cheese moving silence like
Banzani.
lasagna.
But yeah, all of them got 5+ innings and only three walks from the 3 starts this weekend. Their command was obviously there, and I think it helped that they were at home too. Was this the first home series?
First full home series. They had the midweek on Tuesday against St. Louis, but then this was the first full home series.
Right. So that definitely helps that we had the fans there at Itchy Jones help us out with cheering on the team, and I mean the offense is still as productive as ever. Steven Loden, Ryan Rodriguez, and Pierre-Olivier Boucher.
Yep.
Perfect. Hope that got that right. They all balled out, and they each homered this weekend. Specifically, Loden, I wanted to mention, he's 7 for 12. He had 6 RBIs, and he had a home run, like I mentioned. Just terrific offensive performances by them, combined with the great starting pitching.
Absolutely, and you guys were enjoying the luxuries of the Enterprise Center in St. Louis at Arch Madness. I was here working baseball, and what a great weekend it was, especially the way this team started. After Tuesday's game against St. Louis, they lost 11-3, home midweek loss.
I just want to talk about that a little bit. That was a rough loss.
That was a very rough loss.
St. Louis was doing almost anything they wanted.
A very rough loss, but Lance Jones took this team after the game, and they got in a big circle. The whole
Lance
team.
Rhodes, you mean?
Did I say Jones?
You said Lance Jones.
Sorry.
That
probably won't be the last time I do that. Lance Rhodes
good.
got this team, and he talked to him for about 20 minutes to a half hour after the game. I don't know what he said. Obviously, I wasn't in that huddle, but it worked for this weekend for sure. Especially, and I've talked about it the last couple of weeks, starting pitching, where, who are we going to get those good outings from? We got it from all 3 guys this weekend. Chapman, Dermody, Banzani, all going 5+ innings. Dermody in particular went 7 innings. I think only 1 run allowed, or maybe no run. Actually, maybe no runs allowed.
I don't think it was any.
Yeah, he didn't allow any runs. That game, especially when he pitched against Ohio on Saturday, was absolutely incredible. And it reminded me of these last couple of years where this team is just firing on all cylinders. Offense was good. Obviously, they scored 11 runs in back-to-back games on Saturday. but it's not. They weren't just hitting homers every single time. It was timely hitting, situational hitting, running guys over, just shooting it down the line. Caper Rock had a couple of hits this weekend where he didn't even hit it that well, but he placed it perfectly down the left and right field line. It was amazing to see, this team doing the right things at all the right time. Obviously, get SIU coming up on Tuesday, which they'll play before this is released, and then Kentucky at home this weekend. That will be incredible to watch. Another high major team coming in. Took 2 out of 3 versus University of Illinois last year. Let's see if we can replicate that. Especially after this weekend, I'm really excited to see what this team's got.
This is perfectly lining up to be a SIU baseball Lance Rhodes led team, perfectly lining up to where we kind of have this rough start to the season, but then Kentucky comes into town and we at least get 2 out of 3 or something. We surprise everybody.
That'd be amazing.
And get some. I think that would perfectly line up with what we've seen from this past year of Lance Rhodes and what we can expect from this year's team. So I really hope that ends up happening.
Totally.
That's basically it for Dogs at the Vet. No Saluki space this week, unfortunately. So, alrighty, for this week's Told You So, I'm going to break down NBA. We got him breaking down college basketball a little bit. And obviously
I'm here for moral support.
That's right.
Yes.
I wasn't sure if we were going to get the 5 takeaways from the NFL draft this week. Obviously, the Combine's happening. But I wanted for it to finish out before we hear from you. So, nevertheless, let's go ahead and break down the NBA real quick. So I went 3-0 this past weekend. I'm shooting 80% now, 15-5. It's just too easy out here for me.
There you go.
Mavs, the games I want to put you guys onto. Mavs at Grizz on Saturday. Grizzlies are in a super weird situation, but so are the Mavericks. They're not really winning a whole lot with Kyrie right now. They're still figuring that out, it looks like. Absolutely heated game. You guys should have listened to me if you didn't. Mavs and Suns.
That was incredible.
Last week, that was a great game. That shot by Kevin Durant at the end. That's why he's still a top 5 guy. Some people are trying to move him out of there. I don't know why.
Yeah, I totally agree with you.
He's an absolute bucket and a half. I think it's just kind of somewhat of a weird game. I could see Luka, though, going off this next week because of that weird Suns game. He might catch some criticism, especially for the missed shot at the end there, which still shocked that he missed that. But nevertheless, I think I'm going to go with Mavs in this one. I know I've also been picking the Mavs every now and again in these things. It's definitely a team that I've picked on a lot to put you guys onto, but that's just because they've had a real weird year. So they've had a lot of weird players come in. And I think that they start to really get some momentum after a game like against the Suns. Because one of the smartest things that I heard about the NBA season, because the regular season almost rarely never matters, really.
Mm-hmm.
But one of the smart things I heard is there's about 8 to 10 games per season that really matter, and players know that they matter. And so they really put everything. That atmosphere in the Phoenix and Dallas game was a playoff game. Both teams really wanted to be here's the team. Now, part of that was because Kevin Durant was playing on the Suns and Kyrie was on the Mavs, and so they kind of wanted to go at each other a little bit. But I just think that's one's going to be a great one. Also on Saturday, Bucks at Warriors. Warriors got Steph Curry back. Bucks were on a 15, 16 game win streak before they just lost to the Sixers last night. I think I'm going to go with the Bucks in this one. Bucks look like they might be the best team in the league. We'll talk about that in just a little bit. And then Sunday, Knicks at Lakers. NY and LA. Come on now, we got to talk a little bit about that. Anthony Davis. I've never been a big Anthony Davis guy. I don't know if I've said that vocally on this podcast yet, but I don't really believe in him. Nevertheless,
Interesting.
He just never plays.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing. He doesn't play.
Yeah.
Why would I want a player that doesn't play and looks like he gets hurt literally every single time he gets touched?
Yeah, he does.
So, yeah, not a big Anthony Davis guy at all. LeBron's still out, so it's kind of weird. But honestly, with those players and all the trades that they made at the deadline, I got to give them credit. I mean, aside from D'Angelo Russell, who I am an avid, once again, D'Angelo Russell hater. Yeah, there's a lot of Ohio State guy. I didn't mean to hate on the Ohio State guy.
He's not there anymore. I don't
but he's absolutely he's one of the most overrated players in the league. So doesn't matter. The reason I want to pick this game though is because the Knicks are on an absolute tear. And if you were watching basketball on Sunday, not only did you catch the Phoenix and Suns game or the Phoenix Suns versus Dallas Mavericks game, but you also caught the Boston Celtics and New York Knicks game, which was between those two, I don't even know which one was the better game of the day. But the Knicks are on fire right now. They're playing incredibly well. And so that's going to lead us into my takeaways for anybody wanting to catch up on the NBA season this year. First one, what happens with John Morant and the Grizz? It seems like we're having a lot of really weird instances with athletes and getting in trouble with firearms and just causing a lot of ruckus recently. I mean, Brandon Miller.
Yeah.
You talked about Jalen
Murray
Carter
State
last
graduates,
week.
you know.
And then it's Murray State. You guys got to watch out for your guys because John Morant. Been a lot of reports of him getting up to some not so good activities recently, and he was just recently suspended for the team. So what's going to go on with that? Everybody keeps talking about how good the Grizz are. Are they still? They're not the. Are they still the second seed in the West?
I'm not sure.
In the West Conference. Hold on, I got it pulled up right here.
Now they've lost some games. Obviously.
They're still the second seed, which
wow.
blows my mind. They're 1 game ahead of the Kings. They're 2 games ahead of the Suns. So I can honestly see the Suns creeping up on that after this next week. But yeah, just really weird to make of it. I don't know what it is. I'm not gonna come on here and do all the jokes because like he did go to a private school. He's clearly not. From that life, as they say, and you know, it seems like he's kind of putting on a little bit of an act. And I'm not gonna come out here. I'm not gonna come on here and say like, and make rules about what is okay for anyone or anybody to do. But what I do know is that it's actually weird to see this team that last year, I don't think there was one NBA fan who disliked this team. I mean, I know you don't watch a whole lot of basketball, but like, did you catch any wind of the Grizzlies team last year? Like,
No.
I mean, that's
no
fine because if you're in the NBA space, it's completely
I just
different.
know the Bucks were the team to watch last year, especially with Giannis.
Yeah.
Giannis. I said the G.
You're good. His basketball, mine's baseball.
It's a rough pronunciation table.
Yes, it is. So that's just gonna be interesting to see what happens. Number 2, race for the number 1 team. We've got Nuggets, Bucks, and Celtics right here. I think one of those I'm pretty sure is the best team in the league. Right now, the most wins goes to the Milwaukee Bucks with 46. The Celtics and Nuggets both have 45. Nuggets have a pretty comfortable seed. I think they're 7 games above the Grizzlies, so I think it's pretty clear that they're going to end up winning the Western Conference. But, yeah, if you had to tell me to pick, right, who's going to win the title? This is a really, really tough one.
Yeah.
Tougher than a lot of years because I think that 2 years ago we saw Giannis beat the Suns and that was awesome. I absolutely love to see it because it was just something different. It wasn't LeBron going, it wasn't Steph going, and we love watching Steph. Obviously, I don't think there's a person who doesn't enjoy watching his game, but at the same time, we're reaching a new era. LeBron's getting old, Kevin Durant's getting old, all these guys are getting old. And it's kind of this new era that's going to come in. I mean, the Nuggets are the 1 seed. I mean, how weird would it be if Jokic wins a title? Now, Giannis is almost in this LeBron category where he's coming in at the tail end of Kobe Bryant and at the beginning of what would be LeBron's resurgence, but then LeBron, at the end of LeBron's career, Steph Curry kind of takes these weird reigns.
Right, yeah.
I think the same thing's going to happen to Giannis where... Right, he's coming in at the time of LeBron, but then he stays for a little bit in those 5 years. It's just getting weird. Point is, now we're seeing Jason Tatum and all them. I think the best team in the league is the Bucks. I think, just because Giannis is the best player in the NBA.
Is Drew Holiday still on?
Drew Holiday's still there.
Still there.
Chris Middleton's back from injury, but Chris Middleton's look a little weird.
He's been playing bad.
Yeah, he hasn't been playing great.
Yeah. So
there's kind of this weird thing with the Bucks depth that I don't really understand. They signed Goran Dragic. I don't even know if they're going to play him at all. That's just keep your eye on that. This one's fun. The Knicks are good again. And by good, I don't mean just good. I mean kind of dangerously good. Like almost if you caught them in the playoffs, say you caught them as a 4th seeded the Cavaliers right now, they play the Knicks. And I've been an avid lover of this Cavaliers team. But I might pick the Knicks. I mean, they're just so good. Jalen Brunson handles the game so well. Emmanuel Quickley's a bucket off the bench. Julius Randle's been playing well. Because here's what can happen with the Knicks, right? As they can either be so good that you see them in an Eastern Conference Finals and you go, what the heck happened here? They beat like the Sixers and then they somehow upset, let's say it's the Cavs next round. I don't know. I'm just paraphrasing right now, or they could get swept because Julius Randle decides to shoot too many shots. It's almost like this weird Russell Westbrook thing with Julius Randle where, like, okay, we know he's great, but, like, how great is he really? Like, how confident do you feel, especially in a playoff series with him? Nevertheless, I think Jalen Brunson's had an awesome year. Julius Randle's definitely improved upon last year, and I think that the Knicks could be a really, really dangerous team. So, Any thoughts on the 3 takeaways I've given so far? So I've got 2 more little nuggets to give here, but
I have a genuine question I want to ask.
let's go.
I thought that the Cavs were kind of like in a little bit of a hell after LeBron left them, but I just noticed they're the 4th seed. How in the world are they good again? Since LeBron has left.
Isn't this fun?
I want to know a little storyline there.
Fun little question. So they were pretty rough after he left. I'd probably say they had a lot of. They tanked their entire team for him. However, honestly, what kind of I'd say probably saved them was the Harden trade.
Yeah.
Because it was a 3-teamer in which Harden got to go to Brooklyn, but the Cavs ended up getting Jared Allen. Was that the one they got Lauri Markkanen in, or was Lauri Markkanen just a different trade with the Bulls?
No.
Yeah, because that was just a different trade.
Yeah.
But they
Bulls
just
legend.
They just
Yeah, right.
yeah. Can you believe he's going off for them and we had him and he's just
Yeah, I can. He's a good player.
Ugh, I hated him. I hated him from Chicago. I mean, he had a great. Was it second year?
Yeah.
It was a weird first year, great second year, awful third year.
That was Bulls purgatory, and we're back in that. We're back in that.
Oh, yeah.
We're back in Bulls.
I'm excited. We're right at the 12th spot.
purgatory.
We're not gonna have our draft pick this year. God, if you wanted me to break down the absolute turd sandwich of the Bulls
we could do that
organization,
on the next pod.
yes, we could. But
Turd sandwich.
basically, the Cavs just signed great free agents. Honestly, they've been awesome, like at trades, getting Lauri Markkanen, getting Jared Allen, getting Karis LeVert, getting Donovan Mitchell, and then they ended up hitting a home run with the Darius Garland pick. So they're probably, out of all the players on their team, one of my favorites to just watch in the league. Just because I don't think there's a single guy on their team aside from like Karis LeVert, which I don't really love watching, but like I love watching everybody play on their team. And so they might be. What would be really interesting is if the Knicks continue their tear and end up passing the Sixers for the 3 seed, which I don't think happens. But if the Sixers and Cavs had to play for a 4 or 5 spot, that could get pretty interesting for the first round of the playoffs. Jordan, anything on to say on my first 3 points?
No,
Knicks?
I think the Knicks are definitely the story right now.
Yeah.
Josh Hart, that trade
yes,
seems to be working out incredibly well for them.
I should have talked about Josh Hart.
He's playing out of his mind right now.
Absolutely.
Contributing to that win streak. So
yeah, I love Josh Hart. And so I think some other interesting things to talk about just before I kind of wrap up here is which teams kind of work themselves into the play-in. The Pacers are 1 game out of the play-in right now. I love the Pacers.
Bulls.
No, I don't want them to be. I want the
Really?
Bulls to continue
Tank.
losing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Tank as much as possible,
Yeah.
and then we go ahead and sign Patrick Beverley, who,
woo.
say what you will, I don't love him, but like he helps win games, does he? I don't know.
I don't
He
know.
helps. Here's what he doesn't help you win games if you actually have title inspirations.
Yes.
But he helps you win games if you're a 12th seed.
Yes.
So it's literally the worst signing that the Bulls could do.
They had like
Yeah.
a 50-point win right after they signed him or something.
Yeah, we
40-point
beat the
win?
Nets by like 44 or something.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right after he got signed.
I don't even care. I just
We're
we traded away our pick. We're not going to get our pick
They're losing the tank
unless
bowl.
it falls into the
yeah,
top
we're losing
4.
the tank pool. Should have taken the Bears' advice.
Seriously, the Magic are 3 games out.
Wow.
They just keep winning. I'm an honorary Magic fan this year because the Bulls have stunk so much. I love the Magic. I'm rooting for them. I want to see them in the playoffs. I don't want to see the Wizards in the playoffs. That's for sure. But and then the Western Conference. People talk about the Thunder tanking like it's the Thunder. They're not even close. Blah 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 blah. They're 1 game out of the 10th spot, which the Utah Jazz have, and the Utah Jazz. We're gonna start seeing some Lauri Markkanen shutdown stuff happen.
Yeah.
So. I think that's going to be really, really interesting. I hope to see the Thunder in the playoffs. I love the Thunder. I think the Thunder might be one of those teams that, like the Pelicans last year, remember when they were the 10th seed and then they snuck in? Speaking of the Pelicans, what a fall from grace they've had, sitting at the 9th spot. We don't need to break into that. That could be for next week. And then the 5th one, finally, is who will win MVP. This has been talked about a ridiculous amount. There's been a lot of slander every single which way. It seems like it's the same 3 people every single year. Joel Embiid, Nikola Jokic, and Giannis. Do you happen to fall on one side of the spectrum?
I mean, voter fatigue's probably going to play into something this year, but Jokic, again, he's the MVP.
But weirdly
no
enough,
doubt in my mind.
there's no fatigue with
There
him.
doesn't seem to be.
And I think it's just because he had every kind of year that you would want if you wanted the 3-peat.
Yeah.
So like his first one was like his breaking onto the scene year, and nobody else really kind of had that awesome of a year. So you're like, okay, give it to him then. Then his second year, every other star player in his team got hurt, and he still carried them to the playoffs. So he had like that Russ-like. He's got nobody, but now he's getting... And now, he has arguably the best record in the NBA.
Yeah.
So you can give him it to him because of that. Now, however, he doesn't have the best record in the NBA anymore because of Giannis and the Bucks.
Yeah.
And I think that there's going to be a big late push for Giannis, and I might be a part of that category. Just saying. Not saying that I am. I think it's still Jokic, but Giannis is certainly making a push right now. I'm getting real sick of the Embiid stuff, though.
Yeah.
The guy gets fouled a lot. That's why.
Sorry.
You're good.
But how
No.
good... He's on the Nuggets, right? Jokic.
Jokic, yes.
How good would the Nuggets be, let's say Jokic miss a couple games?
Well, in fact, that's the whole pull with Jokic, if I'm correct, is when he sits at... Which he doesn't... He barely misses games, which is nice.
And
But-
I think he's... This is not a shot at him, but he's more like out of shape than these
Yes.
other guys are, and yet he's powering through and playing all these games.
Yes.
And-
Sorry, Jokic. I know you're
And
watching.
all those,
Jordan didn't mean it.
You
like
know,
that,
you know what? Never mind. I can rain on this later. It's fine.
I guess so.
You know
But
what? I'll say it. Screw it.
Yeah,
All these
get
people
on
talk
it.
about how MJ and them played against plumbers, and that's why they were good. These plumbers playing 82 games a year, and they're in way worse shape than these guys are now. So these guys have no excuse. Anyway,
yes.
Sorry.
No, that's
Continue.
right. No, he's
How do you get it
Continue.
out?
He's absolutely right.
It's the stupidest argument I've ever heard.
The point is, what the point is that all the analytics guys love him because his plus minus, I believe it was in the month of February, his plus minus was like plus 49,
Yeah, it's insane.
which is an insane
Yeah.
number to have.
Yeah, it sounds like...
Which do you understand how plus minus works in the NBA?
It sounds like a productivity rating.
So basically what it is when you're on the court, how do you... It's the point differential when you're on the court. So let's say that I'm in the game and I score 0 of the points, but my team scores 10 more points than your team. I
Right.
still have a plus 10 differential.
Oh,
Now, if I sub into the game and I suck at defense, and then the other team comes down and scores 15 straight points,
Now you have a
I
minus
now
5.
I have a minus
Yeah.
5.
Right.
So
Okay.
that's how it works. And a plus 49 is... Like, that's...
Most teams don't get a plus 49.
That's the thing.
It's like the best teams don't get plus 49, and yet Jokic is finding a way to do it by himself.
It's historically ridiculous. So, that's all I got for you. We'll be back next week with NBA. Jordan, take it from here. The real stuff's heating up.
This is March.
This is March.
This is March, boys. March
Let's break
Madness
into
is
it.
here. Very, very briefly, I'm going to go through some of the picks, some of the tournaments that have already ended. By the time we're filming this, I've only gotten one correct, which was, of course, the one that I actually know something about, Drake.
Yeah.
Being the team if SIU didn't win it. Unfortunately, Merrimack, who has made their championship game and will play it on Tuesday night of this week, so the 7th, will not be able to participate in their championship game.
So dumb.
Or they will, but they won't be able to make the tournament. Sorry.
Which is so dumb.
That's ridiculous.
Makes
I
me
don't
sad.
even know how you can get motivated for that. Every other team that I had to win lost. I think only one of them even made the championship game.
No. Well, Charleston's still in it, isn't it?
No. I mean, the others that have ended so far.
Gotcha.
The other 4 I don't even think made the
Just wanna be
championship
sure.
game. Tennessee Tech did, actually. They lost to SEMO in overtime, which was crazy. And
What a
that one,
stinker, yeah.
what a stinker. But I'm not too hurt about it. Let me
Boo
run through-
SEMO. No one likes SEMO.
Yeah, no, nobody
Go
likes
Dogs.
SEMO. I
Go
cannot
All
believe
my
it.
homies hate SEMO.
The fact that they're in it is
Yeah,
so
they're
annoying.
5 seed. They're
So
going to be like a
annoying.
15 seed.
Second weekend of the tournament coming up here quick. Let me run through those with my very short irrational explanations, just like I did
Yes.
last week.
Perfect.
The America East, I have Vermont because they've been in it before.
They've been really
the
good,
Mid-Eastern Conference, or the MEAC, as one might say.
Mhm.
NC Central, because their football team played in the Celebration Bowl against Dion and Jackson State this year.
Nice.
The SWAC, Alcorn State, because we beat them.
Okay.
We beat them this year.
Nice.
The Big 12, I'm actually going to take Texas.
I like
to win.
this.
I think they care
I
about this
like
more than
this.
Kansas does. Kansas is the only thing that can get in their way, but I
Of course
think
you like
Texas is the kind of team that would care about this a little too much and may be out of gas for the tournament. They've done it. They've done
They
this.
do that every year.
They've done it before.
Can I say one thing before we move on? Because I just heard this on Ryan Russillo podcast. Shout out Ryan Russillo podcast, The Ringer. But
Oh, I should have. He gets so many free ads on this show.
I love shout outs. But basically he said that Ryan Russillo one time said that he talked to the Warriors owner, and this is completely different, but at the same time, they talked about the struggle of winning championships and doing that, and it was illustrated to me like I've never ever heard before, and this is what I think of this year's Kansas team, because I know this year's Kansas team is very, very good. However, I'm not entirely sure. Imagine you get a group of guys, it's all you and all your buddies, and you all say, okay guys, who wants to climb Mount Everest this year?
Yeah.
And so you climb Mount Everest, and it's hard. You train, you mentally train, you do all of that work. You get up there, you take all the pictures, you look down at it, and then you get back down to the mountain, and then you say, okay, who wants to do this again in 6 months?
Right, yeah.
Like, it's
Most
a
people
whole thing
Yeah.
that, like, it would never been illustrated like that to me.
Yeah.
And I thought that was a really great way of putting it, which is why I like your Texas pick over Kansas.
Yes.
I think Kansas has a little bit of championship withdrawal. Now, the counterpoint you would use against me is this is like an almost entirely new Kansas team.
No, it is.
It's a lot of, like...
Wilson and Harris are still there, but mostly it's
Literally
a team.
almost entirely. So
Yeah.
that could serve as absolutely nothing,
Yep.
but I did want to give the audience the gem. So,
Yes.
go ahead.
Speaking of mountains, we've got the Mountain West next.
See, that's why I did it perfect timing.
There you go. And I've got San Diego State. I almost took Boise State in this one,
Mm-hmm.
but I think San Diego State,
I
again,
agree with that.
Mountain West isn't a great conference. I think they've been kind of waiting to turn it on, and I think they will in this tournament. The
Mhm.
Big East, I'm going Creighton. Another team that I think is just going to care about this tournament a little bit more to try and get a higher seed in the NCAA tournament. The MAC, I've got Kent State. Literally have nothing there. Next, we have the MAC. The MAAC, the MAC tournament. I've got Iona because Rick Pitino coaches there.
That's
The
right.
ACC, I'm actually going Pittsburgh.
I hate this.
Again, I hate it too.
Terrible.
But it's another team that I just think needs it because right now they're actually in the bubble despite being 21-10. The ACC has zero.
They're in the bubble right
They
now?
are. They're on the bubble right now.
What?
The ACC has zero
That's
respect.
dumb.
It's like Notre Dame
Seriously.
last year was 22-10 and they barely made it in.
That's
They had to
true.
play a play-in game.
But still, Pittsburgh on the bubble is pretty ridiculous.
I know it is ridiculous. That's why I'm saying I think they're going to go out there. And prove
It's going to be
everyone
either
wrong.
Duke or Miami, though.
Sure. Next we've got.
What?
I don't
You
know.
believe you just blew me off like that,
I'm just
audience.
saying I don't know. The ACC is that.
Sure.
The ACC is that much of a crapshoot.
Probably
That's-
Virginia, honestly. I forgot about that.
Probably so. The CUSA, I've got North Texas. The Big West, I've got UC Santa Barbara. No reason.
Okay.
Pac-12, I've actually got Arizona. UCLA just lost Jalen Clark. I'm pretty sure. Is that
Really?
Is that right? I'm pretty sure that happened.
I'll have to.
If
I'll
that
look
didn't
up right
happen,
now.
I don't know what I heard this morning, but I'm picking Arizona. They did just play a close game against UCLA at UCLA. Now, for the WAC conference, I'm going Grand Canyon because I've got relatives in Arizona. The Ivy League, I'm going Princeton. The A10, I'm going the Dayton Flyers because they're in Ohio. Don't know.
Dayton is. We're
It is
playing
in
great this
Ohio.
year.
SEC, I've got Texas A&M again. A lot of these I picked because I think these teams are going to care about it a little bit more. Kentucky would be my next pick, though.
But you've done that for like four different
Kentucky.
conferences, like
I know,
four different major
and that
major
plays,
conferences.
And that plays.
Does it?
Yes, it does.
I don't.
Go back and look at the history.
I
of
guess I'll
tournaments.
have to, but like
The American Conference. Now, this one is Houston. I'm
Yeah.
going Houston in this one.
Gotta go
That
Houston.
game against Memphis on Sunday was incredible. Hearing Jim
shot
Nance,
from the logo.
Jim Nance and Bill.
I'm just joking. For those of you who don't know, Memphis' logo literally extends to
Yes,
the free throw
yes.
line. So
Yeah. That game was incredible. Jim Nance and Bill Raftery on the call. Incredible
Great call.
duo.
Great call.
And then finally, the Big Ten, the one's close, near and dear to my heart. I put Purdue on the list. I'm going to switch the pick
Oh, yeah?
live to Michigan State. I don't know what.
What?
They've got this.
What?
But I know. This is.
You
the-
didn't pick like a
This
single
is my
one aside from Houston.
This is my irrational
okay.
picks. Okay.
You're right.
But I do think it could happen because Michigan State lately, ever since that terrible tragedy that they had shooting on their campus, they've shot the three ball so freaking well. They seem to have a magic right now. They played close with Gonzaga and a couple other really good teams at the beginning of the season. So I think they've got what it takes to win a tournament like this.
I like their guard Tyson Walker. He's a bucket.
He's been
I
playing
like
really
him a
well.
lot.
Jordan Akins, I think, is his name, have been also shooting lights out. We're going to talk about the Big Ten in a little bit here with my 5 main points, but those are my rapid fire picks for the conference tournament that have no reason whatsoever besides whatever I came up with on the spot.
Are you? Can I ask you this? Are you
Yes.
rooting for most of the teams you picked for? Like,
Well, I am now, yeah.
oh,
But
but
not
like,
actually.
okay,
no.
okay,
Like
'cause-
I don't want Texas to win it, but
Hmm.
I guess I do now. So.
Yeah.
All right, 5 big storylines for the college basketball big conference championship week and heading into the tournament. We're gonna play a game for the first one though. You guys tell me which team you'd rather have. Okay.
Jeez Louise.
Team A. Look at me. Don't look at the computer.
Well, okay.
Team
I can't
A.
like read. You got a lot of numbers
Just
here.
listen to me.
Okay, I'm gonna try.
Team A. They have 5 quad 1 wins, and you guys are familiar with the quad system,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
It's basically the NET, the ranking tool that the committee uses to select the teams, right? This team has 5 quad 1 wins. They're 14th in strength of schedule. This is all according to KenPom.com.
Okay.
3-3 against the top three teams in their conference, but they are 30th in offensive efficiency, which in a 300 team sample size, that's
Not
pretty
bad.
good, and 46th in defensive efficiency.
Okay.
Team B, so that's Team A.
Okay.
Team B has 7 quad 1 wins.
Okay.
They are 38th in strength of schedule, though. They are 4-0 against the top 3 teams in their conference, including 2 wins against Team A. So these teams, a little hint, these 2 teams are in the same conference. But they beat Team A twice, but they're 103rd in offensive efficiency, 18th, though, in defensive efficiency. These 2 teams also have the exact same overall and conference record this season. Which team would you rather have?
These 2 teams have the same record?
In overall and in conference.
I'm taking Team B.
You're taking Team B?
Team B,
Team B.
for sure.
Team B?
The 2-0 against Team A.
Now, here's another thing before I reveal who these teams are. Team A is listed as a 4 seed right now in bracketology. The latest, the consensus ones.
Mm-hmm.
Team B is listed as a 7 seed.
Team B's.
But you guys both said you take Team B over Team A. What were the deciding factors, if I may
Is
ask?
quad 1 wins. They clearly had some tougher opponents in the
Yes.
beginning of the season. Than they
Even
thought
though
they
Team
would.
A's strength of schedule is still... They haven't performed as well in those big games, though, I guess, right?
4-0 against the top 3 teams in the conference, and then 2 of them being against
Yes.
Team A.
So despite
I'm very curious as
despite
to
all
who these
this,
teams
Team
will be.
A is still projected to have a higher seed by 12 or
Can I ask
12 or 16
you this
spots.
before you reveal?
Sure.
What conferences these teams in? And
These
can
2
I guess
teams
them?
are in the Big Ten.
Oh boy, it's a crap
I'll
conference.
just tell you. Team
I,
A.
well,
you
I
sure?
think I know.
Okay, go ahead. Who's Team A?
Because so Team A, you said projected as a 4 seed.
Yes.
Indiana,
The Indiana Hoosiers.
and then Team B is Michigan.
No, it's not Michigan.
Oh, it's not Michigan.
Indiana beat Michigan twice. So.
Indiana. It's not Northwestern. I know you've been on a Northwestern.
It is the
kick.
Northwestern
It's not
Wildcats.
Northwestern.
It is the Northwestern
He's been on a
Wildcats.
huge Northwestern kick.
So the point I'm making here is that name recognition. I mean, I don't know what here you could use to say that Indiana is just that much better and deserves a higher seed.
Skilled players.
Right, but they haven't proven that as much as
But, come on.
Northwestern has.
Come on.
The point I'm trying to make is name recognition
Yes,
means a lot,
it
which is
does.
why I'm scared. You and I can both agree on this. After a full season sample size, North Carolina does not belong in the tournament.
Absolutely not.
They do not belong in the
And
tournament.
anybody who tries to make that argument.
No, they don't.
I looked at Joey just for
But
no
aren't
reason.
you scared that if they win 1 or 2 games in this ACC tournament here, that they're going to probably sneak their way back in?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I am too.
They're gonna throw.
Even if they do win 2 games in the tournament, they probably still won't deserve to make it.
Not at all.
But they're probably.
They don't
going to.
deserve. They don't even deserve a sniff
Yeah.
anymore. They had an awful end of the.
Yeah. This
what
was
a
also
stinker.
This was also an excuse for me to shout out the Northwestern Wildcats again. So,
Yes.
all right.
Obviously.
So that's interesting, though, right?
Mm-hmm.
Second question, we kind of already touched on this. How far can the Drake Bulldogs go? Again, their experience is massively extensive. I think that they can be a Sweet 16 team.
I agree.
Legitimately.
I think I honestly might lock them in.
And I'd be interested to see.
I want to see what side of the bracket they go on. but-
Exactly. Depending on how many bid stealers we have, which means teams that weren't going to make the tournament unless they won their conference tournament, making their one less spot for other teams on the bubble to make it. I'd be curious to see if they can possibly move up because they have to make room for those bad teams that win the
Yeah.
conference tournament to maybe like an 11 seed.
That's true. There has been a lot of 1 seeds that have all got kicked out.
Absolutely. So I think they can get a really good draw here against a 6 seed who they might even be more talented than teams in like the 5 to 7 range. Like a team like Northwestern. Drake might be more talented than them.
Oh yeah, I picked
have
Drake
more
in the
experience.
Northwestern game.
So that's the second thing. The third thing, and this one I hate saying it, but the Kentucky Wildcats are about to go on a run again, aren't they?
No,
Do you like I don't want them to. I would hate it
They're
if
not.
they did.
they're
But
not.
this is the exact same blueprint.
Antonio
that they
Reed's didn't Antonio Reed's have like
had
37?
points. Yeah,
Hit 37.
I know. And
How many more games are you gonna have 37 in?
Probably not too many. But at the same time,
Your next reason is exactly why Kentucky has no shot.
No, and I want to agree with you, but we've seen this movie before. They did it with Julius Randle
They
a couple
did.
years ago.
They did.
My fourth point is kind of related to that, and it's kind of contradicts the point I just made. But how about the Vanderbilt Commodores?
That's right.
Great job by Jerry Stackhouse, coaching job. You would have thought that after Scottie Pippen Jr. left, that this team was just going to go right back down to the gutter, and they haven't. And they had Darius Garland at one point too. Neither of their two best players made the tournament, and now they have a team that might do it. So shout out again to Jerry Stackhouse. My fifth point, and we kind of already touched on this, I could see 11 teams winning the Big Ten tournament. The Big Ten is just a hodgepodge of absolute disgustingness this season. I said Purdue on my sheet. I don't really know why. I guess it was just I just don't know. I don't know what to say. I legitimately think that every single team except for Rutgers, they've fallen off a cliff recently. I don't think Rutgers could win it. I don't think Minnesota could win it. I don't think Wisconsin could win it. Just simply because I don't think those three teams have enough personnel to be able to do that. And you might be wondering to yourself, well, your homer pick, you think Ohio State could actually do it? Yeah, I do, because we've got a lottery pick on our team. We've got talent. We've been playing better lately. You can't deny that. They've been playing a lot better lately.
Sure.
And they're playing their best basketball in almost 2 months at the right time. And I think they got a good draw as well.
I think this is classic Big Ten fan, being like, we have 11 teams that could.
I didn't say that.
But
I said that 11 teams could win our conference tournament. Now, the reason why it's so hard to pick a team that could win it is because they all stink. The whole Big Ten stinks. The best team in the Big Ten might be a team that has one good player and a bunch of you and me's around him who aren't very.
Whoa, now, hold on.
You're great. No, you're great.
I'm just kidding.
What I'm saying is that Purdue has Zach Edey, who's incredible. He's become a really good basketball player, not just a tall guy.
Yeah.
But around him is just a bunch of some freshmen too that'll probably get better over the years.
I heard a take recently on sorry to interrupt you again, but reasons not to pick Purdue to make the Final Four or even win their thing is both of their guards are freshmen.
Yes.
And that's going to hurt. You have to have veteran guards. So go back. Sorry.
And the other team that everyone was hopping on a couple weeks ago after they swept Purdue in the regular season was Indiana. But then Indiana comes back. Iowa crushes them.
Yeah.
They're 30.
That was a crazy game.
And
but you have to remember Iowa was hot
they
after
do that a lot.
Great game.
They do that a lot. And then they come back and barely beat. They probably should have lost to Michigan, but Juwan Howard is. I don't even know what's going on in his brain when the end of the game comes around. Did you know he's 1-12 in one possession games?
Yeah, he's not a good coach.
He's just not a good coach, and his teams are talented as heck.
His son's good.
His sons are both pretty good.
Both of his sons are very good, but
yeah, this is an exciting weekend of college basketball coming up. We're about to have 4 straight exciting weekends of college basketball, so this is the best time of the year for me at least, and I can't wait.
Yeah. Well, guys, we've put you on. If you don't take our advice, clearly, you guys are obviously idiots. So,
yep.
Not that the viewers are idiots, but
no.
Some of you clearly, but nevertheless, we gave you a lot of great stuff here. Be sure to take it to the house. Thank you so much for listening to. This is episode 19? Let's hope it is. If it's not,
19.
Thank you so much for listening to episode 18. But you guys have a great rest of your day. Goodbye.